What's up, YouTube universe? Eric here, and I am joined with the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff, and we're going to do our Week 3 picks. But before we start that, we're going to talk about just a teeny tiny little trade that happened in the NFL today. Just a tiny one.
I looked at my phone. I got a text, and I just looked at it, and it said that the Browns were going to sign Willis McGahee after trading Trent Richardson to the Colts, and I was like, where the fuck did that come from?
What? Okay, so what does this mean, first and foremost? What does this mean for the Colts?
Oh, it's huge for the Colts. I mean, their tight ends on IR now. Vic Ballard's on IR. You got Donald Brown, who's nothing, and Ahmad Bradshaw, who didn't do a bad job, but he's just injury prone. So McGahee did a good job last year. I'm surprised he didn't get signed by any other team. I mean, I know he's 30. I think he's 31. But he's still a serviceable guy, and I think he's gonna do well there. I think he's gonna run. So.
He's gonna be a good plug and play. I actually picked him up on my fantasy team because I think maybe not a starter this week, but he'll definitely be a starter for Week 4 because the Browns really don't have any other options at running back. But they're doing the Bill Belichick thing, and they're just stockpiling draft picks at this point. I mean, you're gonna have Brandon Hoyer starting.
I don't know why you do that in Week 2. And this Brian Hoyer guy, I read like 2 or 3 places that Mike Lombardi, who is he used to be the head guy at NFL Network, now he's the CE or the GM of the Browns, which is a weird choice, but he is, and so he has like been on Brian Hoyer's dick, like from when he was in college, and he talked about him a bunch on the air last year when he was like. I think he had 1 start in Arizona, and when they hired the coach Chudzinski, he made him promise that they would bring Hoyer over in training camp, and that's what happened. And now the guy's leapfrogged Jason Campbell, who he's got like 30 starts, right?
I think he's got 30 offensive coordinators under his belt, too.
Yeah, that poor guy. But, I mean, I just don't understand how this guy's leapfrogging Jason Campbell. It makes no statistical sense. So it's just got to be this Lombardi making these picks. And I don't know, they just gave up on Trent Richardson, and they decided they could get what they could get for him. Maybe they felt at the end of the year that they wouldn't be able to get as much for him. I just don't know. I mean,
But for the same token, Hoyer did come out of the Patriot system, so maybe they're looking at that as well. But the Browns are stockpiling picks for this year's draft, and the way things are going, I think they're going to have a high pick.
Oh, and they're going to get a low one from the Colts.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, too, because here you have Andrew Luck doing his thing with no help from the running game, and you had Trent Richardson on the other side doing his thing with no help from the passing game. So I think that marriage is going to be huge for Andrew Luck and Trent Richardson. I think he's going to be probably a top 10 running back in the end of the year after this.
Yeah, I just don't understand what anybody's thinking. I mean, this guy's in his 2nd year. He's in the same draft class with RG3, Andrew Luck.
He's a 3rd overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, you had Andrew Luck, and then I don't know who was number 2. I can't remember. And then him.
Yeah, RG3. RG3 was number 2.
RG3 was number 2, and he was number 3. And the team's already given up on him.
It's a bit of a head scratcher, but I think the Colts are going to be, as of right now, the Colts are the winner in that thing. But we'll see what happens in next year's draft before we come to our full conclusion on that. So let's get into our picks, shall we? Starting with Thursday Night Football. Philadelphia is going to be hosting Kansas City. Andy Reid going back home to the city of brotherly love.
It's actually the first Thursday Night Football game that's going to be decent. Last week's was terrible. And the first week we had a blowout. So this should be actually a pretty good game. And it's in Kansas City, right? Is it in Kansas City?
No, it's in Philly. It's in Philly.
And it's hard to gauge, what. It's only been 2 weeks, so Kansas City's played Dallas to a low-scoring affair. They played the Jaguars, which doesn't even count as a game. And then, Philadelphia has, they kind of beat the shit out of the Redskins and then held back. And then they got beat, surprisingly, at home by San Diego, which is really weird. So I just can't – their defense just seems to be leaky as hell.
Oh, man.
And so this offense, but I don't think they can. I just don't think they can do what they've done to those two teams to the Chiefs. I just the Chiefs' defense is better than that. I just don't think they're going to be able to run, but we'll see what happens.
I think the key to the Chiefs winning this game is the fact that they can sustain a very long, like 16 play dink and dunk kind of drive, which is going to give Casey's defense a rest. Because the best way to beat Chip Kelly's offense is with your offense. And I think if you could sustain long drives, that kind of throws him out of his game plan. Because if Chip Kelly goes down the field and scores in a minute like he plans to every single time his offense has the ball, your team comes on the field, goes 3 and out, he's right back on the field again. And if you could sustain a really long drive and keep your defense as fresh as possible, that's the key to winning this game. And I think Kansas City's offense is perfectly set for that, because the Chargers showed us that the Eagles' defense has holes all over the place. And I think with Jamal Charles running the ball, Alex Smith protecting the ball, because the kid just doesn't turn the ball over. He's shown that. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Granted, his yards aren't there, but he doesn't turn the ball over. So I'm going to take Kansas City in this game just because of that.
Yeah, and I'd like to. I think Philadelphia's got more in them than what we've seen. And they're at home. They've already lost 1 game. Andy Reid's coming back in, and to say Andy Reid knows this team, he doesn't, because it's not the same players, not the same team. So he doesn't know how to scheme against any of these guys. I have a sneaky feeling that Philadelphia's going to pull it out. I just have a sneaky feeling that's what's going to happen, and I won't like that when it happens, because I really want Philadelphia to lose. But and Kansas City doesn't play the best on the road, unfortunately. Maybe they've learned something different from Andy Reid, but I'm going to take Philadelphia just in a close one.
Okay, and what was your record last week?
I was 11-5, and you were 11-5. We lost different games.
So overall,
I'm 22-10, and I think you're 20.
I'm 23-9. I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm 23-9. Okay, so I'm ahead by 1 game. So hit your wagon to me, because obviously I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you got it down, man.
All right, next game up is Houston traveling to Baltimore. I don't know what to think about Baltimore.
I do. Houston's going to stomp the shit out of them. They were held scoreless by Cleveland, which has a good defense. They do. They have a pretty good defense. But so does Houston. So, but Houston's got a way better offense than Cleveland does. So, I don't see Baltimore doing anything different than they did with Cleveland. And so they're going to be held to a low score, and Houston's going to take off running. Flacco, Rice is hurt. That doesn't help Flacco's cause. They've got some injuries. I just don't think they're not that good of a team. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think Houston's going to go in there and redeem themselves from last year.
Another interesting point that this specific game brings up is the emergence of some of these rookie wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
What a game last week,
the
right?
Ravens have Marlon Brown or whatever.
Yeah, Marlon Brown. But yeah, some of these rookie wide receivers are starting to earn their keep, and I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to pick up right where he left off, with Andre Johnson on the other side of the field, drawing the bracket coverages.
Did he get a concussion last week? Is he going to be okay? Is he going to play?
He is hurt, but from what I understand, he's a go. But I think DeAndre Hopkins is key.
Kid City could be better than Andre Johnson. I think he's speaking a little soon, but okay.
A little soon. But the emergence of some of these rookie wide receivers, Cordero Patterson, Tavon Austin. I said last week, if they integrate him into the offense more, the Rams are going to have a better chance at winning. And he caught 2 touchdowns. So. Yeah. I think these teams are starting to settle in and understand what they have. Yeah, they're rookies, but my God, they're talented.
Yeah, it's amazing lately, and what these rookies are able to do. I'm going to take Houston in this ballgame.
I am as well. Houston probably in a big win. Next game up, you got the New York Giants traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers.
Two sloppy ass
I'm
teams.
shaking my head too.
Two sloppy ass teams. Carolina's got a good defense, and they play offense like a church group. They take no shots down the field. Steve Smith's been absent. They have no running game to speak of, and Cam Newton doesn't seem to want to be Cam Newton. So, and the Giants, I don't even know what to think of the Giants. I mean, they threw all over Dallas.
Well, they actually threw all over Denver too,
and they were way behind in both games, and they're sloppy. They're sloppy. There's interceptions everywhere. They're not getting any pass rush to speak of. Their back end, we knew going into the season their back end was going to had holes in it, and even more so now they've got injuries. They're just not playing, and I don't know if Tom Coughlin can pull it out this week. I don't see them having enough weapons. They don't have any confidence in David Wilson. He's going to fumble the ball sooner or later, and they're not going to know what to do. And, the Leviathan isn't the answer. They brought him in there just to scare David Wilson, I think. But he did score a touchdown, like a 1-inch touchdown last week, and he was just beastly about it. Maybe Carolina can find their mojo or something at home and pull us out. I don't know. I just don't know what to think.
To be honest, I honestly want to take the Giants in this game because I think that Tom Coughlin is going to break that offense down and get back to running the football. He's going to race out of his mind the bullshit fumbles and turnovers that they had because obviously throwing the football over and over again hasn't been the trick to winning games. So I think they're going to put some faith back into David Wilson. They're going to let him tote the rock. Brandon Jacobs is probably going to see some goal line activity.
Defense doesn't give up a whole lot. They held Marshawn Lynch to 40-something yards, and last week, who'd they play last week? They played, they got beat by Buffalo.
Freddie Jackson had a nice game.
C.J. Spiller had 103 yards in the end, but still, that's C.J. Spiller gaining 103 yards, so the Giants don't have a C.J. Spiller.
But the Giants, they always seem to start this way. People are screaming at them. They're doubting them. The Giants are garbage. And then
it's never been Eli that's been the problem. This guy's thrown 6 interceptions.
Eli has been the problem before.
He's thrown 6 interceptions in 2 games. I mean,
I'm going to go with the Giants in this one just because I think the Panthers. Granted, I think they're going to pick up some rushing yards. I think Cam Newton is going to continue to struggle. Because the Giants are going to be able to rush him, they're going to be able to get him out of his comfort zone.
If he starts taking off running like he does, because that's when he does the best. So if they chase him into being Cam Newton, that's when they're going to be in trouble.
Other teams have tried that too, but they're trying to coach him to stay in the pocket.
I know, but I think sooner or later he's going to get pissed and just start doing it himself. And
I'm taking the Giants. I got faith in.
I'm going to take
Tom. I got faith in Tom. Okay, next game, good one. Green Bay's heading to Cincinnati.
Good game. Really good game. Great defense against a great offense. Green Bay's weakness is their defense. And that's not a good thing when you've got A.J. Green as your opponent. Andy Dalton's the greatest quarterback in the world, but he knows how to hit that kid. And this Mohamed Sanu and Giovanni Bernard,
another rookie that's emerging.
And if I see this the right way, yes, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He's got decent wide receivers. They don't have a running game. That was a fluke. James Stark is not going to do that again. He's not going to do it against Cincinnati. And I don't think they can keep. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. I think that Cincinnati's offense will be able to score more points against Green Bay's defense than Green Bay's offense can score against Cincinnati's defense.
I actually think it's going to be the opposite. We're picking a lot of different games this week, but I think Green Bay's defense is much improved from last year. They're still kind of flying under the radar because of the struggles that they had last year, but over the last 2 games, they played really well. And I think Clay Matthews has picked up his game. They're stout in the middle with the Jonathan Jolly and what's the other kid's name? The high round draft pick, the guy that was in the commercials.
BJ Raji.
Yeah, BJ Raji. They're both healthy, and they're stuff in the middle. So I'm actually going to take Green Bay in this game just because I think they're going to bring more offense to the table than Cincinnati, and I think Green Bay's defense is going to be able to disrupt Andy Dalton more than the Cincinnati defense is going to be able to disrupt Aaron Rodgers.
Well, we'll have to see because I'm taking Cincinnati. This is upset week for me. I've looked at it and I see some upsets all over the place. I was actually going to pick Cleveland in their game until this bullshit today, but now I'm not. So.
All right. Well, the next one you're going to go ahead and pick
Minnesota and Cleveland. Yeah.
No, you're going to pick St. Louis over Dallas, then, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I'm not picking that. That's not one of the upsets that I've seen coming. Because I think Dallas is going to pull their head out of their ass, and I think the Dallas defense can get Bradford to throw into a couple of interceptions. They haven't given up shit on the running game, so I'm not worried about Darrell Richardson.
He's hurt anyways,
and I'm worried about the back end, but. And Dallas is at home, and I can't really say that that's a great thing. They haven't played that well at home, but they started off at home and they won, and I'm hoping that they can pull that out. And I just think that I think Dallas is too much.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you there. I mean, Sammy Bradford has been playing extremely well through the first two games. He's posted very good numbers. He's protected the ball relatively well. I think Tavon Austin is going to cause some problems, just like I said last week. I think it's going to continue this week. But I think Dallas is just going to have way too much offense for him. So I'm going to take Dallas in this one as well.
Well,
next game is Cleveland heading to Viking Land, Minnesota.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer, and I picked up Minnesota's defense off the waiver wire. That was before I heard about the Richardson trade.
Yeah, I certainly tried. But
I got actually Chubb. I got actually Chubb when I heard that. Brian Hoyer, whatever. And Bobby Rain is going to be the running back, I guess. Going to have to be, right?
If they sign Willis McGahee.
He hasn't passed the physical yet. I mean, they were just talking about it today, and this is Wednesday.
He's in shape. He's a veteran guy.
Is he going to practice, though? He doesn't know the offense? They're not going to play him this week. He's a running back. Yes, all you got to do is run, but he can't be in there.
Dive.
Can't be in there at third down. It's going to be a mess. They're going to sack the shit out of this Brian Hoyer. I don't even know if he's going to be able to get out of his own way. I'm going to score 35 points with Minnesota's defense and get my first win in fantasy this and they're going to carry me. So it's a big win at home with Minnesota.
I think until Cleveland figures out what they're going to do offensively, yes, they get Josh Gordon back. Jordan Cameron's been a very nice addition to their offense this season thus far, but I think that Minnesota's pass rush is going to cause a lot of problems for Mr. Hoyer.
Yeah, what's his name? The ex-chief?
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
When he heard Brian Hoyer was the starting quarterback,
he started drooling.
Oh, God. I mean, he probably just couldn't even. He probably just started lathering.
He's wearing a bib right now. Next game up is Tampa Bay heading to New England.
I got another upset for you right here. Tampa Bay hasn't let anybody do shit. They held Drew Brees to 12 points.
Fantasy points. He didn't have a great day.
A lot of people are saying this is a week to sit Brady. That's not really a divisional game.
Well, New Orleans and Tampa Bay is a divisional game.
Yeah, that is too. But
you just got to throw the record out the window and stuff like that.
I don't think so. New England hasn't gotten any better than they were when we saw them on Thursday night against the Jets. Tampa Bay's got a very similar defense to the Jets. They're not going to be able to run. That leaves them with the pass. You got Darrelle Revis, who they had a little powwow with Schiano. I think they've repaired some stuff. And Revis wants to prove some shit. And I think if you're going to take away half the field now, and Brady doesn't have anybody on the other side of the field. He's got drop guys. I mean, nobody he can trust.
Dobson and Tompkins.
They'll take away Julian Edelman. They'll take that away, and Brady's not going to have anything. I just think Tampa Bay's going to get their first win.
Yeah, what a crazy world we live in that Tampa Bay actually has a chance of winning a game against New England in Foxborough.
New England's the luckiest 2-0 team in the league. They shouldn't be 2-0.
No, they shouldn't.
If they had started off their season with the schedule that, say, Seattle did, or Green Bay, because who did Green Bay play? They played San Francisco. They would be 0-2 if they played quality teams at all.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up playing Buffalo and the Jets, two rookie quarterbacks in their first couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
I would take, if Buffalo was playing them this week instead of last week, or the first week, I would take them.
I look for Doug Martin to have a monstrous game because I just believe that, Josh Freeman got that C ripped off of his jersey. He's not a captain anymore, but at the same time, he's a professional football player.
And he's contract year.
And he's in a contract year, so he's going to want to have something to prove. And I think Tom Brady struggling, those words have never formed in a sentence before, but I think Tom Brady struggling with his two rookie wide receivers in the absence of Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez wearing orange is really, really hurting that offense. I mean, Stephen Ridley's got the fumbles.
Well, and Wes Welker's gone, and I mean,
75% of their offense is somewhere else.
350 of the 400 passes that were completed in that ballpark last year are not with the team anymore. And they're not replaced. Amendola's hurt. Gronkowski's hurt. Shane Vereen's hurt. You just don't have any weapons.
I mean, Julian Edelman, you're really going to rely on Julian Edelman to be the guy. He's just not. He's a good complimentary player, but he's not the guy. He can't be the guy.
And I just think that defense is a lot like the Jets, but I think they got a better offense than the Jets do.
Oh, God, yeah. So I'm actually going to take Tampa Bay in this one also.
Right on. I want to see it. I want to see. I can't stand that New England's 2-0 playing like shit. It just breaks my heart. Any other team that had those problems would be 0-2. Look at the Giants.
Kansas City would play lights out and end up 0-2. But,
look at the Giants. The Giants have to go up against Dallas and Denver. If that were New England that played Dallas and Denver, they'd be 0-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Next game up is Carson Palmer, Cardinals, heading to face Drew Brees in the land of boobies and beads.
Yes. And a bounce back. Drew Brees doesn't have two bad games in a row.
No.
Doesn't happen.
No.
He had a bad game last week. They won at a last-minute field goal from Garrett Hartley to barely beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. So if Tampa Bay gave New Orleans that hard of a time, just reinforces my last statement, but New Orleans is going to come out slugging. And Arizona does have a good defense. They're not great on the road. New Orleans at home is a lot like Seattle at home. Hard to beat. I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a runaway. They'll give up some points, but when I say a runaway, I'm talking 35-28.
Yeah, I think New Orleans is going to drag Arizona into a track meet, and Larry Fitzgerald's banged up. Andre Roberts, he had a good game, but I don't know if he's the guy in Arizona to fill the shoes of Larry Fitzgerald. Carson Palmer's a hell of a quarterback. But I just think New Orleans has way too much offense, and they are playing at home, so I'm going to take New Orleans in this one as well to win handily.
Yeah.
Next game up, San Diego headed to Nashville, Tennessee.
Another hard game to pick.
Defense versus defense, huh?
Does San Diego have a defense? I mean, they gave up 28 points to Houston in a half.
But
then 30 points.
But then stopped. They shut them down in the second half. So it's...
No, I mean, San Diego, they were up 28-0, 28-3, something like that. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Houston's winning 30-28. I mean, where did they go for the second half of the ball game? And then, Philadelphia was neck and neck. They were bouncing back and forth. But
God, that was a good game.
They were giving up a ton of yards. But Tennessee doesn't they don't do that. That's not the kind of game they played. I mean,
my God, is Tennessee's offense so inept?
It is. It's, they're a run-only offense. But this defense seems to be real. I mean, they did something wicked to the Steelers, and they damn near beat Houston. They had to go in overtime.
Damn near.
And that's a good team that can score a lot, and that was in Houston, right? I mean, they were in Houston. And so... I think this is Tennessee's home opener. They played 2 games on the road, at Pittsburgh and at
Houston.
Houston came out of that 1-1, which most people would have thought they were going to come out of that 0-2. I think they're going to have some swagger. It's a tough matchup for San Diego. It really is. I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm going to take San Diego, actually, because I think with the win last week for San Diego, it's going to build some momentum and some confidence. I think this Eddie Royal kid, out of nowhere, he went from Denver to obscurity now to San Diego. He's caught 5 touchdowns. Yeah, he's on people's radar now.
He was there last year, though, and he was nothing.
He's on people's radar now, but the kid's dynamic. He always has been throughout his career, and I think Phillip Rivers is playing better. Danny Woodhead, I think, out of the spotlight is actually helping that team tremendously in the same kind of way that Darren Sproles kind of helps the New Orleans Saints. He's replaced them nicely, and
that team's just too Jekyll and Hyde for me. I think they're going to disappear again this week. And I think
no, don't get me wrong. I want San Diego to lose. As a Chiefs fan, I want San Diego to lose this game, but I think they're going to pull it out. I really do.
So we're going to be, our record's going to be way different next week.
Next game up is the Detroit Lions going to DC.
Yeah, see, here's another game. I mean, cause it's only week 3 and we don't have a huge sample, but these teams are so here and there. I mean, Washington has got to have the worst defense in the league.
They certainly
they're leakier than a son of a bitch. And who would have guessed
to.
that? They were a good defense last year, and they've got all their players back. So I don't know what happened. Jim Haslett's a good defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Something's just not. I don't know what. I still know what's happened to that defense, but this is the wrong offense to be having problems.
Matt Stafford could have a career day.
And I'm counting on the fact that he's going to do it. And I was going to say Washington's too good at home, but Philadelphia came in there and ran all over him, just embarrassed him for 3/4 of a game, and then, they kind of let off the throttle and there was some garbage time there. But RG3 needs to wake up and be RG3 again. It's another case of that. Same thing with Cam Newton. These guys they have completely gotten away from what made them an item. And RG3 is a decent drop back quarterback, but he ain't Drew Brees, he ain't Tom Brady, he ain't Peyton Manning. He's RG3, and what makes him RG3 is the fact that he takes off running. If nobody's afraid of him doing that, he's dead.
As he's shown, and I think his knee is still bugging him a lot, because if you watch him when he does throw, he's not pivoting and driving off that back leg. He's showing that it's bugging him.
Every one of those teams, Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, all of the read option quarterbacks that wowed us last year, we all went, wow, look at these guys. Every one of them has. All those teams have gotten away from that. Granted, Seattle's 2-0, but Russell Wilson has been pedestrian.
Even at home, he didn't play well.
He didn't get his first reception, Russell Wilson, until well into the 3rd quarter, I think it was.
Yeah, and it was to Marshawn Lynch, I believe.
Yeah, and
I was at that game. Boy, that was a noisy
and he didn't run the ball. He wasn't running the ball. Colin Kaepernick didn't run the ball.
Actually,
he couldn't against Seattle, but he didn't run it against Green Bay.
He threw all over Green Bay.
He threw all over Green Bay, which now he thinks he's a drop back quarterback. He's not. He's good. He's an athletic quarterback, but he's not accurate like Tony Romo. He's not accurate like Drew Brees. He just can't pick teams apart. Mm-hmm. And these guys have just gotten away from it. I think this is another case. Now, if he wakes up, if RG3 wakes up and brings his magic, it's going to be a dogfight. Detroit's going to be in for a long day. But
I think Detroit's going to beat him up.
I think Washington's be 0-3, and they're going to be sitting back going, what the hell's going on? I think Calvin Johnson's going to have a huge day. Yeah. I think Reggie Bush, if he plays, is going to have a good day. And if he doesn't, Joke Bell's going to have a great day. One of those two guys is going to have a great day. Maybe both of them have a great day.
Even if it's a timeshare. I think
Nate Burleson, all those guys.
Brandon Pettigrew, yeah. I think Detroit's gonna handle Washington.
I think they will.
Next game up, Atlanta Falcons head to Miami.
See, now this was another one that
it's some good games this week.
I'm picking Miami in this, and I'm going to tell you why.
Are you? Wow.
I'm taking Miami.
Okay.
Atlanta is beat up on every front. No Steven Jackson. Sean Witherspoon, their all-pro safety, is gone. No Roddy White. Yes, you got Julio Jones, and Miami's not necessarily known for having great defensive backs, but they've got a good defense. I just think that they've got some swagger. They're 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta may be thinking maybe this is a trap game. Maybe they're going to overlook this team. A lot of their weapons are hurting. Not having Steven Jackson and not having Roddy White, Harry Douglas hasn't done shit. 40 yards, that's nothing. That doesn't hurt anybody. You can cover Julio Jones. You can even let him get a little bit. But Miami hasn't let anybody go crazy on him. And so if they can contain him and if they can hang around, Atlanta can be beat. And I think they've got enough injuries. It just seems like every time I looked up the TV, another Falcon was getting carted off.
I'm actually, to be fun. I want to take Atlanta because that's the sexy pick. When you look at the two teams, you say, well, who's a better team, Miami or Atlanta? Most people are going to say Atlanta. But with the emergence of Lamar Miller, the defense playing lights out, Atlanta has historically never played all that great on the road. Add in all the injuries that they've suffered. I think Miami is primed
for a couple of Mike Wallace over the top.
Yeah, they're primed for an upset. So I'm actually going to agree with you and take Miami in this game. I think Miami wins it. It's going to be close.
I think we're going to have a lot of parity after week 3 is over. A lot of these teams that were shoo-ins, normally that would be you wouldn't even think about taking Miami in that game, but they're playing well, and I think that just helps them.
Yeah,
I think Atlanta knows they're limping in, and that hurts them.
You still got Matt Ryan, okay? He's always the wild card because he's an excellent quarterback, but man, I just think Miami has too much defense, and with the emergence of some of their offensive weapons, Mike Wallace started bitching after week 1 because they didn't target him that much, but him saying just give me the ball, give me the bell. He backed it up. Backed it up. Absolutely. So there's no reason.
They got this tight end Clay that's come out of nowhere, and they got a kicker that's doesn't miss.
I think Miami is primed to win an upset here.
I'd love it. Miami goes 3-0 and New England loses their first game.
Next game up is the I Don't Give a Shit Bowl. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Where do you even go with this one?
Two rookie quarterbacks, two decent defenses. I mean, didn't Mario Williams have 4 sacks last week?
4.5
in one game. And so if you take these two quarterbacks, I think E.J. Manuel's the better of the two rookie quarterbacks.
I agree.
He seems to have the poise. He took his team down the field with a minute, no timeouts, and scored.
Yep.
Against a pretty good defense that hasn't let anybody do that to him all season.
Well, Buffalo's offense has more weapons, too.
They do. Stevie Johnson,
C.J.
Spiller, Chandler.
Freddie Jackson.
Yeah, you've got a lot of weapons there, and E.J. Manuel himself's a weapon. And, it's his third game. They're getting better. Granted, they're in New York, which I don't know if New York's got a great defense.
They do. They've proven
they haven't let anybody do much to them. But I just don't think you can hold Buffalo's weapons at bay that long and not put any points up yourself, which the Jets haven't done. They haven't put up any points. So I'm gonna take Buffalo.
I am too. I think Buffalo's got more going for them than the Jets do. Is basically what it boils down to.
That's a crazy world. And it's a divisional game, so you can throw a lot of stuff out the window, but I think just these two teams slugging it out, I think Buffalo's going to come out on top.
I agree. Next game up is, my God, Jacksonville heading to Seattle. Do we even need to talk about this one?
No.
Okay, next game. Indianapolis heading to San Francisco.
I'll tell you what, though. If this ends up being a trap game and Seattle loses it because they overlooked this team, I will laugh my ass off.
I will, too.
If the first loss that they suffer in 2 seasons at the Link, it comes at the hands of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I will laugh out loud. I'll drive over to Seattle and laugh out loud to everybody.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way these teams aren't in the same category. They're just not.
No.
But it's hard to get up for a team like that coming in. You know, I mean, I heard somebody say, well, you know, it's Russell Okung who's got a bad toe, but it doesn't matter because they're playing Jacksonville. Well, they're still a professional football team, and any given Sunday, it can happen.
Mm-hmm. And it has.
And it has happened. Lightning has struck.
I just think...
Just don't see it happening against
either.
Seattle at home.
No. Too much deep.
I just wonder how much is Seattle going to do. I mean,
here's a bold prediction. Jacksonville will not collectively get over 150 yards.
I don't think they'll score unless there's a fumble or something on like
less than 150 yards in a shutout.
But what's Seattle going to do? I mean, if they just march up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field, are they going to put their second string in the second half? I mean, are they?
Well, to prevent injury,
they could score 60 points here.
They could, but I'm going to predict that Jacksonville does not gain more than 150 yards offensively. Period. We'll even throw special teams in there, and they may not score a point. I'm going to give them 3. They'll kick a field goal.
I think they'll be lucky to get that. You're trying to tell me that they're going to score as many points against Seattle as the 49ers did.
I think the crowd was more riled up for that game.
True.
But I'm going to give Jacksonville 3 just out of respect for the fact that
they're a professional football team.
Yeah. Okay.
Supposedly.
Well, they might be proven.
I mean, that's what I've been told.
They might be proven otherwise this week. But next game up is Indy heading to San Fran. Trent Richardson.
Yeah. How pissed off do you think San Francisco is?
Going
How
to their
embarrassed do you think they are?
Going back home.
And didn't they call them the She-Hawks?
Their second string running back, Anthony Dixon, called them the She-Hawks, which didn't help their cause.
Man, I wouldn't have hit a bee's nest with they had a bee's nest with a tennis racket. I mean, just everywhere. San Francisco's got to be looking for some payback on somebody, and it just happens to be Indianapolis. Indianapolis doesn't have enough defense to stop San Francisco. I just don't think they're
going to run the ball down their ass. And now, Andrew Luck is one of those quarterbacks that I like to say is matchup proof, just because
he's magical. Like the guy just pulls it out.
He performs against everybody he plays against, and I think the addition of Trent Richardson is even going to be better.
Right, but you don't run against.
Well, and the thing is it's the trade happened today, and it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. How much of the playbook is this kid going to learn in 3 days? You know, how many days are you going to... Yeah.
Normally you turn around and hand the ball off, but that doesn't work against San Francisco, even if you are familiar with the playbook.
You know, so I think San Francisco emotionally is not very excited about what happened to them last week in Seattle. So I'm going to give this one to San Francisco, even though I really want Indianapolis to win, because I'm a fan. I love what Andrew Luck is doing there. I'd
like to think there's some magic in a bottle, but I just think that if you tried to pull a magic bottle out, San Francisco would smash it on a rock and cut y'all up with it. I just think it's redemption time.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose 2 in a row.
I got San Francisco on this one.
They're not going to lose 2 in a row.
Okay, so we agree on that one. Next game up is Jay Cutler and the Bears heading to Pittsburgh. Heinz Field, Ketchup Bowl.
Heinz Field used to be a place you didn't want to go. And maybe it still is, because Palomalo's running like a madman. Isn't it ironic that Palomalo's now healthy? He's doing crazy shit because he's like found the bottle of youth, and nobody else on the defense even gives a shit.
Yeah, all Pittsburgh, all Heinz Field makes me want right now is a hot dog.
I mean, they're ready to lynch the offensive coordinator. They're ready to lynch, the head coach. They're ready to lynch Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. So the 2 of the 3 sweethearts.
It's none of their fault. It's just injuries.
It's injuries. It's age, and Roethlisberger's simply not playing well. He missed several throws on Monday night. If you want to call it a short week, it is a bit of a short week.
God, their lack of the running game, because that's what Pittsburgh's always been known for.
They just can't run the ball.
They can't, and Pittsburgh has always been known for being able to run the ball with success. And right now, that aspect of their offense scares nobody. So if you're going to put the game on Roethlisberger's shoulders to throw the ball, at least give him an elite weapon.
Well, they're playing the team that beat them last week.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh, and Chicago beat Cincinnati. And I don't care that it's Heinz Field. I just don't think I don't think Pittsburgh can stop Chicago. I don't think they have an answer.
I care as much about this game being in Pittsburgh as Chicago does.
I'd like to think that team's got enough pride that they'll come out and stop Chicago, because I hate Chicago, but I hate Pittsburgh more so.
I got Chicago winning this game. Actually,
I'm going to take Chicago. If Pittsburgh will score 10 points again, maybe they'll score 13.
Yeah, and
I think Chicago's going to score 31.
24, 27, somewhere in there. Maybe 30, but I think Chicago wins this game. And the last game, Monday Night Football, Oakland Raiders heading to Denver. Thoughts on that one?
I would, if you say interdivisional game, I don't care. Oakland and the Jaguars are in the same category. They're like college teams. They're like expansion teams. They don't have enough talent. It isn't going to matter. I don't care what you bring. You don't have enough to bring.
Oakland versus Jacksonville? Entertaining game.
It already happened. Oakland won.
Yeah.
Well,
Oakland versus Denver?
Not an entertaining game.
No.
Even though...
It is if you're a Denver
I was actually sad when Clady went down, because...
Yeah.
Integral part of that thing,
Mm-hmm.
watching Peyton Manning's blindside. And they brought in Justin Winston, who has not played well anywhere he's ever went. When he was in college, he gave up 8 sacks in one game to OCU Manura.
But who's Oakland's pass rusher? Who's their premier pass rusher?
Yeah, who knows? Who even knows?
Rolando McClain, right?
Isn't he retired? I mean, Seymour. Is Seymour still there?
Yeah, he's still there. But he's an interior lineman. So.
Well, then he would have to be the only threat, then, I would say.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and give this one to Denver.
I'm going to go out on a limb and agree with you.
Okay.
I just don't think it's even a game.
All right, so that's our picks for week 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us.
Leave some comments.
Yeah, leave some
Disagree
comments.
with us, agree with us, whatever.
We'll both,
interact.
We'll both be on Twitter all Sunday long, chatting up some football. So you'll find my Twitter link in the description below. It's at GLOCKxSTAR. Jeff is at Dr. Vankman. You'll be able to find him through my Twitter. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.